Hi, welcome to SASA TV, hosted by me, JJ Fott. On SASA TV, we talk to some guests who are SASA members and some other students from the Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. We like to talk to them about their quarantine life as well as their life outside the comfort of their home. If you like this episode, please like and also subscribe to the channel for more news on SASA TV. And as always, please enjoy the show. How are you doing today?
Not bad, dude. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. How's like these last few weeks been for you?
It's been all right. Not being in Rose's environment is definitely interesting. Having to do college work at home. Like we'd come home at break, and that doing work at break is one thing, but straight up taking classes and everything while your parents are home and other distractions. There's definitely a transition.
Yeah, that's true. Have you ever done anything like independent study wise, like a similar situation like this before, or is it all like new to
Yeah, I usually do like software projects, like software consulting, and that I usually do work from home. So I have an environment for that, but I have not ever taken like classes remote. Like over the summer, I worked for a company in France, so I'd kind of be up at night working in their time zone remotely. And so like I have the whole setup and everything, and I have a dedicated room for it, but doing it completely for school is definitely different.
you? Yeah, you said for France.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you get involved in like that gig or whatever?
Yeah, sure. So actually, most of the people in Sassa know that I have like a YouTube channel that I do Internet of Things on, and I started that in like my sophomore year of high school,
Oh, really?
and that's built to like 10,000 something subscribers. And
Oh,
I had someone approach me from that to do consulting.
really? What's your
Yeah,
YouTube channel, if you don't mind me asking?
Quick Pie,
Quick
Quick
Pie,
Pie.
like
Yeah,
pie as in the
as
symbol,
in the
or
number.
yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that
Hmm.
about you. That's pretty cool though.
Yep.
Do you like you started that consulting work? Was it because of that company reaching out to you, or is it something that you were kind of pursuing generally?
No, I started consulting work beforehand. When I was a senior in high school, the summer that I was going to become a senior, so I guess you could say my junior summer or something. I actually had another company reach me out and like reach out to me through the channel and say, "Hey, we saw your videos and we wanted to see if you could build something on a different scale." And they reached out to me, and that's actually how I got started in software consulting.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Off of that too, like what kind of got you involved in CS and software in general? Was it something you just kind of had when you were younger, or was it something you kind of found more later on?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This is kind of a crazy story, but I would say what brought me to software is watching the first Iron Man movie. And
Okay. Yeah.
when he walks into his house and like everything just like is automated, like that, I thought that was so cool, and I tried to do that to my room, and that's actually kind of how I started home automation. And then I said, hey, maybe going into CS is a better idea. But you can see if when I was younger, you can see the airplanes and the propeller back there
Yeah.
and the
Yeah. I see
airplanes.
that.
I wanted to be in like a aeronautical engineer or someone that's in aerospace. So that's why my whole room is themed in aerospace stuff. But times changed. So
Yeah,
here we are.
that's true. That's crazy. I remember yeah, Iron Man is my favorite Avenger, but I remember I was like 9 because it came out in 2008 and yeah, I thought that was so cool. It blew
Yeah.
my mind, that whole technology and
Hmm.
everything. Trying to be Tony Stark. Is that kind of why you really like Tesla and Elon and all of his stuff?
I mean, I'm not like a crazy follower of Elon like some people. I like Tesla for the technology they have. I'm not a like, yeah, sure, it's green and all, but that wasn't the primary reason I bought a Tesla. I bought it because it was really years ahead of what other electric cars were sitting at. And when you take into account something like autopilot and stuff like that, it really made sense. And another reason I got the Tesla was I was actually commuting a lot for my software consulting stuff. And one of the companies I frequently work with is in Cleveland. And that drive was starting to add up in terms of gas. So I thought, hey, if I switch to something like a Tesla, it's one stop in the middle to supercharge. And I think it was like $6. And that cut down a lot of my costs.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, that's like something I'd personally like to own someday is a Tesla. I like the cars personally. I kind of became more of an Elon fan this summer. I listen. I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast, which
Yeah.
is kind
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
inspired me to do stuff like this. Um,
Yeah,
but like that episode, that first one he's on, he actually came out with another one recently. I haven't checked it out
yep,
yet, but
I did.
oh, really? Did you like it?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I checked that one out in the summer and I really liked it. And I thought he's just so interesting and a lot of stuff's coming out about him recently, but
yeah,
definitely like one of the minds of our time, one of the great minds of our
yeah.
time.
He's a visionary, right? And like all visionaries, his ideas are like years ahead of what we think, or he thinks 20 to 30 years from now. But, that works when you're at his state. But I don't think that works for the average person. You can't be thinking 20 to 30 years ahead for the average thing.
Yeah,
That's how I see it.
yeah, that's definitely true. Is it an aspiration for you to ever like work for Tesla or one of his companies like SpaceX or something like that?
I would actually like to work at SpaceX. I'm not like I've heard different stories about Tesla that I'm not sure if I want to work there, but I've heard very positive things about SpaceX, but I'm not sure how a CS would get into SpaceX. So there's very few roles there that I could take in personally.
Hmm. That's definitely
Yeah.
true. Like if you could, I guess, start a company today. This is a thought I just had a couple days ago. But like if you could start a company today, what would you start it as? Or would it be like software based or um, I think a lot of people in our generation come out with these ideas for apps that are really like convenient and it like builds on that convenience idea. Do you have like anything
hmm
along those lines that you think would be cool to work on?
I did the whole app thing my freshman year of high school. That's kind of how I got started. I developed an app that ended up getting acquired by a company, and
Mhm.
I had around 80,000 users at the peak, right? So I get the whole app thing, but for getting an app to launch, it's like a 1 in a million shot, right?
Yeah.
There's at least 500 other Instagrams before this Instagram blew up, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think an app idea is really a good business model anymore. It used to work, not really anymore, because it's just there's so many apps at this point. I would say any kind of company I would start today would be some sort of business service company. Like it's a service that provides a business with an ability to do something. And the business to business model I feel is much more profitable and as well as scalable today, and that too in software.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely agree with you there. I think it's just like a big influx of people that really want to like make this app and then have it blow up and then like be, super successful in that sense. But
yeah,
what was the app that you created?
yeah. So it was, I can't talk too much about it because like there's legal documentation and stuff, that
Oh,
I had to sign. But
yeah.
it was basically it was the mobile application for a popular teacher student collaboration tool. And
Oh,
when they came out with that tool my freshman year, it was just a website, but they didn't have like any iPhone or iPad app. So I actually ended up developing the iPhone and iPad app for it, and it very quickly picked up. One of the biggest users of the app was LA Public Schools. They installed the app, and I think there are 4,000 iPads from what I could tell. They never directly reached out to me, but I could see the pinging in that area, so I knew that the school district had actually downloaded the app.
yeah.
But it scaled to 80,000 users in about 3 months, and then in the fourth month it was acquired. So
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. No, I was gonna say it was really a once in a lifetime. Like I didn't make that app hoping for those kind of users. I just made the app because it's gonna sound dumb, but me and my friends were really tired of just constantly entering our like school district passwords to
Yeah.
access this website. So my whole thing about the app was just getting into the service much faster,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
started out as like a personal utility
hmm
thing that turned into
Oh yeah.
bigger for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's outstanding. How do you like formulate these ideas? Is it kind of based off of a problem, like you said, like you didn't want to have the inconvenience anymore, so you like found a way to solve it, or is it like maybe you have some sort of vision about what an app or software wants to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not a big visionary person. Like, I don't think like, someone like Elon Musk, I'm not the type of person who's thinking like, hey, like 50 years from now, this is what I see. Like, we should be on Mars. Like, right. I agree with those kind of ideas, but I'm not the type of person who is going to be the first one to think of that. I always go towards a problem and then try to solve that problem. Right. So, starting off with this app, I said the password was annoying. So I decided to just make the app and go in for it. But I think another example would be my home automation stuff, right? Like we talked about, 2008 Iron Man seeing Jarvis control the house. That's crazy, but at 8, I don't think I had the technical skills to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And a few years later, there's this thing called the Raspberry Pi that came out. I mean, I'm sure you know what the Raspberry Pi is. We use it in the Rose curriculum a bit. But it was basically a $35 computer that had these pins called general purpose input output, and you could connect any kind of basic electrical components to it. And I saw that as a way as a computer to interact with the physical world, right? Like you can't just connect any sensor you want to like your laptop unless you have like an Arduino or something in between. And essentially the Raspberry Pi was like a nice computer that was giving you access to electrical components on a very easy scale like Python, right? You could run like a 10-line Python program and start interacting with real world situations. And my first home automation project was turning lights on and off with Siri. And so, I built the code base up to interact with Siri to run on the Raspberry Pi, but and like other devices, but having the GPIO pins, the general purpose input output, those let me literally toggle a light switch in person. So I could say, Siri, turn on the lights, and you'd see the switch go right up and my lights turn on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty sweet. Is that something that you could see later on in life? You'd like want your whole house to be like automated too?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, my whole house right now is automated. Like this room has no switches.
Really?
So pretty much,
What do your parents think about that, or like family and everything? Like when you first were
I
like
mean,
doing it?
when I first did it, they were not comfortable with it. But
Yeah.
as the market moved and everyone thought this was like a fashion or like something you should have, they definitely liked it because I developed it myself, so I knew exactly what's going on. But I could also convert like customization to it. So like outside my room, we have stairs that go to the other floors, and right now I have automatic lights for the stairs that automatically come in at sunset and then turn off at like 2 a.m. And
Oh.
they even have like detection where if someone's near the stairs, they automatically turn on lights for those stairs. So if it really helps because our like staircase is not that well lit, so these lights turning on is really helpful. And then when we're traveling, we want the lights turning on and off. So because I wrote everything, I just write like a quick program and it automatically randomizes when the lights are turning on and off and stuff. And from the outside, you could tell people are inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's definitely a transition, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's super cool. That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of traveling, do you have like a favorite destination that you like to travel to, or maybe a place that you really want to go to someday?
I'm not a huge travel person. I like traveling, but it's not like the thing that's on the top of my mind. I kind of get tired of traveling pretty quickly, so I don't like to travel too often in the year. I maybe do 1 or 2 trips a year, and that's about it. I would say I really want to go to like something like South America, somewhere in South America that's nice, like Machu Picchu or something like that. It's
Mhm.
definitely on the roadmap, but I'm not sure we can go anytime soon. So that's what we got to do.
That's true. That's
Mhm.
true. Yeah. What I guess along those lines, what does drive you? Like on a daily basis, what is on your mind? Is it more school career focused, or is it maybe some sort of activity or hobby like video games or coding or something like that?
Yeah, so my three big things are cars, investing, and programming, right? So those are the three things that are constantly in my head. So, I would say I spend most of my time investing, trading, or, making a roadmap for that. Of course, second would be Rose work. And the third thing would just be pure like fun technology or cars or something, just messing around with something.
Hmm.
That's what I would say.
When did you start investing in like the stock market and everything?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I learned about the stock market in my like in middle school, about sixth and seventh grade. But after the whole app thing happened, I had a pretty good chunk of cash that I didn't want sitting around. And of course, you want to take use of the compound interest. So, I think that's when I actually started seriously trading. So my freshman year, the second half of my freshman year of high school is when I actually started trading,
Gotcha.
and I pretty much just grew it from there.
Mhm. Do you
Yeah.
use something like Robinhood or something like that, or is it more like E-Trade, like more buy
Yeah.
serious stuff?
I think I know I have two accounts, right? So I have the fun stuff, right? Definitely Robinhood is definitely getting all the fun stuff. Like it's pure gambling at that point.
Mhm.
But most of my more serious trades are done on TD Ameritrade, but I recently switched to Schwab.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
then do you invest in funds or you just like play with the stock market from there?
I have some stuff that's funds, but most of my trading is now all in options.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and that causes more day trading. Like I legit always on the computer keeping note of what's going on, and
Mm,
you kind of have to keep track of it with options because you could go up 35% in a matter of seconds and also lose 70% in a matter of seconds, and
yeah,
it's all about timing there.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Has it been like an addiction for you, would you say? Like, do you like there can be times where you're like, man, if I miss this timing, it could be like everything.
You know, I see it as, you gotta do with what you gotta do. You have to set a goal for profits and walk out, right? So, simple example. So a few weeks ago, Tesla came back to the 400s, right? And, that was when the whole circuit breakers and everything were going on. But, at around 450, I bought a few stock options for around $3, right? And, the next day they hit $6. And I was like, hey, that's, almost doubling my money after fees and everything. So, I walked out. But 2 days later, Tesla kept rocketing up, and that $6 option was $112.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could I sit and cry that my money could have gone 50x? Yeah, sure. But you know, I got my profits. Luckily, it could have also gone from 6 to 0. So I don't see it as an addiction. I just see it as, you make a trade, you enter a trade, you wait it out, either and you wait until your profits, right? So if you feel you're not going to enter a profitability state and you're going to start losing money pretty quickly, I usually get out. But if I feel there is a good trade to make, I usually wait it out, and most of the time it does work out. No one has 100% accuracy rate, of course, but most of the time, I think the strategy I use works out very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. You got like so many different like ventures going on, I feel like.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've done tons of stuff, dude. Like it's like it's hard to keep track of, really.
Yeah, yeah. How consistently do you do like that YouTube thing? Was that more towards middle school, high school, or do you like still keep it up?
I really did it high school, all of high school. I was pretty focused on it, but after coming to Rose, I just did not have the time. And
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you know, but I'm doing a 3-year graduation track, so I'll
Hmm.
be graduating in 3 years. So that just ups my workload. So trying to keep up with the channel, and I have a lot of followers on the channel, and they really want me to post more videos, and I think I have like 64 videos in the loop that I can publish if I just sit out a few hours a day on the thing. But I just have not been able to sit down and dedicate that kind of time to edit and record everything and then publish it, and then all that. It's just going to build up a lot of time that I do not have right now.
Yeah, that's totally
Yeah,
fair. I get it.
yeah.
What does a typical day for you go like? Like, are you more of a morning person, or do you like to stay up late at night, or what's your typical? Do you have like a routine, or is it just kind of like change day to day?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in Chicago time. So the market for me opens at around 8:30. So I'm usually up about an hour and a half before that
Hmm.
every day, just to keep track of what's going on pre-market. And I'm usually finishing up some morning work, like if I have any other homework that's due today, or I'm working ahead or reading lecture notes or something like that, so I know what's going on. Once the trading hour begins, for the first 30 minutes, I'm taking a look at if I have any trades. I'm trying to see how they're reacting to the market, and then I'm usually focused on that, so I'm not really looking at anything else for 30 minutes to an hour. And then after an hour, I usually go and have breakfast and everything. And then after that, I try to get some schoolwork done. But on the side, of course, I will have my stock stuff open. I'm not even like hide that. Props have seen me in class. There's usually that side tab open, and I'm not gonna like hide it because that's pretty important to me. So I'm always, I'm not distracted in class or anything, and nor am I like distracting other people. It's just numbers on the side that I'm taking a look at. And I think a big thing about stocks is you need to understand how everything plays out. It's not just, a random number generator that's just running and you just hope that you're lucky, right? Everything's calculated risk, and it's all about playing it right, right? So like, Tesla, I think is one of the, we were speaking of Tesla. Tesla is one of the craziest stocks still, right? You've seen it. I've seen it go from 300 to 168 to 1,000,
Hmm.
and a lot of my stock was in Tesla. I had a huge position in Tesla until recently, until a few days ago, actually. And going on that roller coaster, you really understand what affects the stock price. And my biggest thing about investing is I don't focus on the whole market, right? I only focus on 3 or 4 stocks at a time, and those are what I look at. And my go-to list for a while was usually Apple, Google, Facebook, and Tesla. Those were the 4 I would constantly monitor, know what's going on, keep track of news and everything. Recently, I kind of started to shift into the overall market because it fell so much. There's a lot of value propositions that opened up. And, I looked at airlines for a while. I didn't make any trades in airlines, but of course, cruise lines were also open. And I always like finding value and as well as finding a rally that's about to take place. So if you find a stock that has very good value, like what Warren Buffett goes with, he goes for value investing. I usually go into value investing stocks that I know are going to shoot up, right? Because it's just a matter of time that until that attention hits, and then it just shoots up in volume, and you can usually make a very good trade.
Hmm. Yeah. So like kind of like you said, you think the way to go there is like value investing, like the Buffett way, that way.
The Buffett way works most of the time, but if you're going to be an active trader, the Buffett way is not going to work for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm most of the time, besides Tesla, most of my stocks, I'm not in there for more than 72 hours. I'm in and out as fast as possible. And sometimes I'm only in for an hour or two, and that's a day trade of its own. So, you just ride the news basically, or ride the market sentiment. And I think if you can nail that very well, you can definitely play the market in your favor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's basically like trading and school and yeah. What I guess along with cars, you just like look up Tesla stuff all day or what
No,
is
no,
it?
no. I mean, cars, I like for sure Tesla's nice, but I don't think a Tesla's really a fun car, right? It's electric, it's like super fast, but it does not have the emotions that something like a gas car has, right? Something that has a roaring engine. Like, yes, for sure, Tesla has that instant torque, and I've done it with you guys. I've launched the car and it just shoots out. But
Yeah.
that's fun for a while, and it's fast, but it's not fun, right? If you take a Tesla on a track, yeah, it's nice, but it's nothing. A car is really like, especially driving a car, it's really more of an art, right? These Teslas, it's like they're just like rocket ships that drive themselves, so it's not that fun. I like, fighting with the car to like take control, right? I like that more. Definitely Porsches, they're more driving machines. You feel the road, you feel the car, you are working with the car to drive on the road more than you're just telling the car where to go.
Mhm.
That's what I like more about cars. And I'm always taking a look at, hey, what's new, what's coming out, new technologies, like all over. Like I'm looking at like new semi trucks that might come out, like everything,
Mhm.
really. Just overall. Nothing like I'm gonna go buy this tomorrow, but just interested in everything.
Gotcha. Do you have a all-time car that like, you know, money's no object that you would like to own? Like that would be your favorite?
The two that I would tie with was a Chiron and as well as an SLS AMG, a Mercedes SLS AMG. The
Gotcha.
ones with the gull wing doors.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, those are
yeah,
pretty nice. Those are pretty nice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I remember for me personally growing up, I really liked like muscle cars. So I really liked like 60s Mustangs and like Camaros and all that stuff. And
Oh yeah, those are nice stuff.
yeah, I just had like all the posters and everything. Because my dad had like a 67 Camaro RS and then he had like a Mach 1 and stuff. So
Yeah,
it was kind of good to go off of that.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So are you originally from Chicago?
No, so I mean, I was born in India. I came here when I was 4. The first place I moved to was Wyoming. So from India to middle of Wyoming was definitely interesting. So for most people that don't know, I was in the capital, Cheyenne, and Cheyenne is literally a one road place, right? Everything's on that one road. You enter the town on that one road, you exit the town on that one road, Delrange Boulevard. And that was definitely a very cultural shock. Like we were in a very metropolitan area in India. And then even for like I remember now, like it was just so weird to just see snow and everything. And then from Wyoming, we moved to Denver about a year and a half later, and that was, a bit more like Chicago area. And then we moved here, Naperville, which is about 40 minutes outside of Chicago.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I remember because I drove this summer. I had an internship in like the Seattle area. So instead of like taking a flight, because you had to have like a car, I was like, okay, I'll drive cross country. It's like something I've always wanted to do. And I drove from here to Seattle, but on the way I went through like Wyoming, and I remember like the rolling hills, and there's like nothing out there, and it's very desolate.
Yeah,
It was like,
it's very desolate.
yeah, yeah. And then you said you spent a little bit of time in Denver and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. What was that, like a few years, or was that like your childhood or whatever?
No, I mean, we spent about a year and a half in Wyoming and then a year and a half in Denver before moving to Chicago, where we've been since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
Because
I had all my schooling here. So
what was
I
that?
didn't go to I didn't go to school in India. So like I started off school here. So for me, it wasn't like I didn't have any kind of like language barrier or anything because I just started school here. That's why, I'm pretty comfortable with English and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that helped a lot because I know a lot of friends who came in later that have a huge language barrier until now.
Hmm.
And just starting off school from the beginning here helped out a lot.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Are you still like, do you still know Hindi and you're like in touch with that, or are you just like
Yeah, so I mean, I'm from South India, so I don't speak Hindi. My parents definitely do. They lived all over India before I was born, so they're pretty fluent in everything. But I speak Telugu, which is a Southern Indian dialect, and yeah, I speak that with my parents daily, and my grandparents and everyone. Like I'm pretty fluent in it, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, that's pretty good. What was going? Did you go to school in Naperville then, or was it like
Yeah,
close to
I
Chicago?
went to Praneeth's high school, so
Oh, you guys, yeah, I think he mentioned you guys
yeah,
went to the same one. What was that
yeah.
like? Because he said it was like a kind of big. Like, how many students went there?
It's like 3,000 people. So it was big and it was pretty diverse as well. Pretty big Indian population at the high school. Um, so it was definitely very interesting. Like my graduating class, I think had 800 people.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely something not like Rose. Rose has like that very homely thing. My high school was very big. I mean, we had small classes, like 30 people, but it was definitely massive. And coming to something like Rose was kind of a transition, right? Most of my friends went to big schools, and in my class, I think it was me and one other person who came to Rose. So
Yeah, gotcha.
yeah,
What attracted you to Rose-Hulman, and like what other schools were you looking at when you were making that?
yeah. I think my two choices, the final choices, were Rose and as well as Urbana UIUC. Um, I was doing CS in both of them. I just did not want a big school. I did not think that was the environment for me. Part of the reason was just I wanted to have a relationship with a professor and everything that I don't think I could easily do in Urbana. It's hard to, in a class of like 600 people, it's kind of hard to reach out to a lecture and everything, and then, go through TAs and everything to just, get a relationship with the professor. And they also didn't have like we have Escalade, we have the entrepreneurship thing. I really like that program. That's also kind of the reason that brought me to Rose. um, I just like that more homely feel. There's less people, there's more focus on what's going on. And the biggest thing is it's only undergrad. You're not focused on masters, and the PhD and everything. It's just pure undergrad, clean cut. I was just trying to get a good degree. And, the career placement rate is very good at Rose. So there was, I didn't really hesitate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, Rose is just such an interesting place to go to school. Just the small school setting, and it's about the same size of the high school that I went to. Because like the high school I went to was like 1,800 total students ish, and my graduating
Hmm.
class was like 3 to 350. But then Rose is like just a few hundred more than that, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's high school for like my experience.
Yeah.
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 What aspirations do you have once you graduate this upcoming year?
Yeah, big thing. Definitely get into a good job. Preferring in the Chicago area. I would like to stay in the Chicago area just because I think cutting expenses when you're younger is pretty important. And like, most people might, catch me for saying, hey, I want to stay home, but like the amount of rent and everything I would save would be, astronomical than living in Chicago. And another thing is I'm an only child, so my parents always want me to be close.
Hmm.
So I don't want to let them down on that. And the second thing would be really doing an MBA. I plan to work for a few years and then go to, Harvard. My target is Harvard Business School for an MBA,
Hmm.
Harvard Business School or UPenn or Stanford or something like that for, graduate school and go on from there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Then based on the MBA part, where you'd be like more focused on like business, you kind of like what you alluded to earlier, business
Hmm.
administration and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't really want to be a part of a business. I want to build my own business, but I think to build your own business, you definitely need to know what other businesses are doing to be successful, right? And
Mhm,
I do want to work in fintech, so that's part of the reason I picked a fintech internship this summer.
mhm.
And that was a big reason. Like I always see that if you want to succeed in something, you have to have experience in it. You can't just blindly walk in and just expect to become successful, right? So you have to always get a good mentor, good skills, and as well as understand the industry before starting a business or venturing into something.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, speaking of mentors, I think that's a really big thing. I think I've been fortunate enough to like have a few different mentors in my life growing up. But is there like any mentors that stand out to you specifically? Maybe like your father, parents, or
Yeah,
uncles?
I would definitely say my parents. They're one of the hardest working people I know. Well, Aryan and Co definitely know who've met my parents know. They call like my dad is the kid and I'm the dad because my dad is a much more fun guy than me. Like he's all about physical activity and all that stuff. I'm not the big workout person. So he basically does everything I don't, and I do everything he doesn't, right?
Yeah.
He's not a big investing or anything kind of person. Like he just, rides the market. Like I'm always stuck, keeping up with the news and everything. He's more of like a workout guy, but he works really hard. The thing about cars definitely rubbed off from him onto me. And same thing with electronics. He's big into like, making his own stuff and like like modding and this and that. Like he's ripped apart, I bet, everything in our house at this point. And just to understand the engineering, and that's a big thing I like to, like, just understanding how something works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair. That's really fair. Yeah, because I remember a long time ago you said like talked about like a story where like your dad goes on runs or like these really long runs. Do you like do
yeah, yeah.
marathons or something?
Yeah, he does marathons. It's pretty incredible. A few years ago, I think someone recommended him, like, because he's always a guy that, he's always, every season he has his own sport and his own group and gang to go play that sport at
Mhm.
who knows where, right? And then I never keep track of it, because it's always changing. He does racquetball, volleyball, soccer, tennis.
Yeah.
Like he always has to have his workout. And when he got into marathons, of course nobody can run a marathon on their first attempt, right? So he really had that transition period where like he had to like build his endurance, and now he does a half marathon at least every 2 weeks, and he runs marathons pretty regularly. I think he's at like 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he does them through the like he does 10Ks, half marathons and everything.
Yeah.
And
That's
yeah,
pretty
I mean,
inspiring.
he if he sets his mind to something, he always, like, at all cost has to do it, and I think that's pretty inspirational that I see in my dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Yeah, it seems like a lot of that has like rubbed off into your life. Speaking of that like only child thing, I'm personally like an only child also, so I kind of understand where you're coming from. Did you ever feel like when you were growing up that you like wanted siblings or maybe because siblings a lot of people like say are like their best friends, right? So like it can be
Yeah,
difficult growing up. I guess how was that only child experience for you?
I think having a sibling really helps your socialization skills personally, and not having a sibling kind of sets you behind in socialization. And
Mhm.
I saw that very early on in school. Like there were kids who could socialize much better than me, and I would question why. Like I didn't even know what socializing was then, but I would just not understand how they could just be more clear with their thoughts and everything. And I always wanted a sibling because my dad used to travel a lot when I was young. It was just me and my mom most of the time,
Mhm.
and until I got older, he was pretty much traveling. Goes Monday, comes back Friday night, flies all over the world really, and that was his work. And I did not really interact with anyone much beyond my mom and like people in school. So I always wished I had a sibling, but at times changed, and I had my own stuff to do, and I think that faded away.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you there. Yeah, I felt that way too. Me growing up, I was a homeschooled like only child until about the
Oh,
eighth grade. So until I was like
yeah.
13. And yeah, I don't know think that many people know that about me that like are like at Rose.
Homeschooled. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Um yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
those things too where I'm not trying to knock on it, but like homeschooled
Yeah.
kids typically have that thing where it's like you kind of know which one's a homeschooled kid. You know what I mean? Like they have
Yeah.
those tendencies, or like in social outings or whatever. So I think I'm glad it worked out that I feel like more open around people and stuff like that. I
I
think,
would have never guessed you were homeschooled personally. I've met
yeah,
a few people who are homeschooled. You can tell they're pretty homeschooled, but yeah, I never got that vibe from you. So I think you're
yeah.
doing pretty good there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. Like a lot of the like people that I knew that were also homeschooled were like they're great people, but it's challenging. It really is like socially.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like a testament to my parents and like upbringing that I was involved in like a lot of boys and girls club stuff or like social things, I guess, clubs and like basketball tournaments and stuff at a younger age that I was able to like be around people.
Hmm.
I think that's a big development part of it too. Kind of
Yeah,
going
for
off
sure.
like back to Rose and stuff, what and Escalate and all that stuff. What kind of interested you and what got you involved in SASA originally?
I just like the idea of having, a club with like, those who share a pretty similar ethnic background. SASA didn't have many Asian kids, and I don't think there was like a prolonging community, right? You can see a lot of the Asian kids, that foreign like Asian kids, they always try to be in a group and celebrate, their occasions and stuff. But I didn't think the Indians had that kind of group, and I think having a club for something like that where we're celebrating Diwali, Holi, all the festivals and meeting and then sharing culture, I really like that idea, and I think that's what brought me to SASA.
Hmm. Yeah, was that something that you also kind of had in high school too, going to like a more diverse high school or?
Yeah, I was there, but I never participated in it because, frankly, there were so many kids that like, parents and everyone were involved that I didn't feel like the need to even do it at school. At school too, like I would do enough at home, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like necessary to do it at school too. But after like staying away from home and stuff, you definitely do miss that and want to experience it. So that's why I liked the idea of SASA and everything.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It's kind of like when you're in high school, there's like a very big like Filipino community in Terre Haute. So it kind of feels like, like you have that community already. So why would I join like a club that's about that? Because I'm already like
Yeah,
in it. So
yeah, for sure, exactly.
yeah, yeah. Is there something just for you personally for the club of SASA? Um, I guess what's your opinion been on it so far? And then what are some things that you would like to see be implemented within the club moving forward? Like maybe we have more interaction with like the greater area of Terre Haute or maybe more interaction with other SASTA clubs. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as a club as a whole, I mean, I would say I'm pretty satisfied right now. We do a lot of activities and stuff. Sometimes there's so many activities that I can't even keep it on my plate, right? And that's totally fine. But I would say one thing I would like to see more is definitely how we went to the Holy event last year. We were interacting with other Indians in the Terre Haute area, and I think we should have more events outside of Rose, like connecting to other communities in the Terre Haute area.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that Nilesh and Ari and myself and a bunch of other members have kind of felt too. Is like within Terre Haute, there is a pretty big Indian community and kind of
Hmm.
more general from Indiana. That's pretty
Yeah.
that's pretty good, and I think connections with that would be pretty beneficial. But yeah,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years from now, I definitely say, I mean, so my like tentative roadmap, right? Everything changes all the time, but I would say, long term, 5 years type. I would say I'm planning to work in industry for 3 years and then go to grad school after that. So, 3 years, so I have a year to graduate and then 2 years after that. So I think I would most probably be finishing my MBA at this time for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And then going on
Yeah.
from that's amazing.
Yeah.
Going on to your next company and everything. That's pretty. Yeah. What's your opinion on do you like reading and books or are you more like movies or do you not like either?
I like reading. No, I watch many more movies than I watch like read books. I'm not a big TV show person. I love movies. I will indulge any type of entertaining content. Not comedies, but I'm more like, sci-fi or any kind of like action plot. Or if there's a very good plot in the movie, I also like watching that, like any kind of historical drama or something like
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
that.
Biographical aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any closing comments or statements that you'd like to make or shout out to anyone?
No, I think we're good. I just think a lot of people, do not understand finance. And, when they graduate Rose, it's like a sudden shock to them. And I think a lot of people need to take the time to understand, what credit cards are, how how banks work, how banking can be beneficial to you. A lot of people see credit cards as like a big evil monster, but I think they're not. You have to know how to utilize them. And I would also say, a lot of people don't have a positive mindset. Just be positive and believe in yourself. I like, there's a lot of things that people have told me they're impossible. And I've been like, I'm not going to take that kind of negativity. I'm just going to believe in myself and go for it. And, there's of course people that, still do not even believe, like, they're like, oh, XYZ, I don't believe he did that, this, that. But, you got to be positive. You got to ignore it. There's always the haters and you just got to move on.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you there, and big respect to you and everything. Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really learned a lot that I didn't know about you, and
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Me
and
too.
I wish the best for you moving forward and everything too, and coming back to the fall. So.
Yeah. Let's hope we see each other in the fall, right? That seems to be the big gamble right now.
Yeah, definitely too.
I don't think we're going to see each other in fall personally. When companies like Google and Apple are all doing work from home till the end of 2020, and think about it, right? Like Rose, of course, there's a welcome back party, and at ATO or something, and say one person's asymptomatic there, it's going to spread like wildfire through the whole campus in about 48 hours,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
I don't think that's a risk that Coons and everyone should be taking, because I know they're trying to do the testing and all, but let's be honest, as college students, are we really going to stick to ourselves and do social distancing on a college campus environment that's not on academic buildings? I don't think so.
yeah,
So
yeah. A lot of people don't really take it seriously. I'm
yeah,
not saying that everyone's like that, but I think,
yeah.
especially being in kind of our age group or peer group, you'll have people that just will neglect it entirely, and then
It's not a virus that you see symptoms immediately to start social distancing. For 14 up to 14 days, it's like a silent ninja that you're spreading.
mhm,
And that's the biggest problem, right? In 14 days in a small school like Rose, everyone talks to each other, everyone, hangs out, you have extended friend groups, and if you're close to them, you're giving it to them, they go give it to someone else. It's like a chain reaction that's just gonna, you know, topple all the dominoes. And I
yeah,
think that's a huge risk.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you
Yeah.
there. It's yeah, I think a lot of there are quite a few people that think that life's gonna kind of go back to normal pretty
Yeah.
soon, and I'm a firm believer that it's gonna be a long process for years, I think.
I don't think there's going to be a normal again. I don't think we're going back to how life was.
That's fair.
I'm
I
pretty
thought about that a
confident in
lot
that.
too.
You know, this
It's
is a
something
wake
I've
up
always
call
had.
to literally a bioweapon war, in my opinion, right? It's an invisible enemy, as the president says it. But I just think this shows how something can spread like this. And it's definitely a beginning, right?
Mhm.
With how much we're globalized and everything, it's not like it's isolated to one place. The way our current economy works, this stuff spreads like wildfire. And this is a full example of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, it's unfortunate with people's behaviors and stuff that it could spread, but
Yeah.
I agree with you on that part that we might not ever go back to normal just because you know
Oh, yeah.
say that the next one's not going to be right behind COVID. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you went out yet, but today I went to the store to pick up some stuff, and it did not feel like going to a store. It felt like you were in a prison and you had to go get rations. I went to like a computer parts store. I didn't even go to like grocery shopping. Like usually it's not like exciting to go computer parts shopping, but this like straight up felt like I was in a factory picking up my parts to go build something. Like it was not normal.
Mhm.
And I think that's a new life we have to get adjusted to, because if we don't take those kind of precautions, you don't know who has what tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
So something I would say we have to get used to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. The few times I have been out, I think probably Terre Haute's different from like Neighborsville and in your area,
Yeah.
in terms of like the seriousness of it or like how people are taking it seriously.
There's
Um,
60,000 cases in like the Chicagoland area.
oh, really?
So yeah,
Oh,
Illinois is at 72,000 cases. I would say there's 60,000 in this area alone. So
damn. Yeah, stay safe
it's
out
pretty
there.
risky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta stay. I mean, you gotta be on top of your stuff. So you can't, hand sanitizer bottles, Clorox wipes. Those are like your go-to tools at this point. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I
How's
think
Terre Haute doing? Oh, sorry. Go
it's
ahead.
pretty good. I think in the county I'm in Vigo County, last time I checked, I think they're at like maybe 1,000 cases. I think that might be a high number. I know they were at like 65-ish deaths. It hasn't been too. It seems like it hasn't been super prominent here.
Spreading. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see. I think the times I have been out, I've been surprised to see that like a lot of people like aren't wearing masks or like
Oh,
it seems like life didn't really change for them, and
yeah.
that's not just detrimental to them, but it's also to everyone else. And,
To everyone else. Yep. Most definitely.
but yeah,
It's the way it is, right?
yeah, it's just the way
Yeah.
yeah, the way life is, I guess, at this
Mhm.
point. But yeah, like I said, stay safe out there, and I wish you the
Yeah, for
best
sure.
for like the
Thanks, dude. You
time.
too.
So yeah, I had fun talking to you. It was good.
Yeah, me too. All right. Let's catch up later, dude.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. See ya.
All right, talk to you later. If you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel and follow us on our Instagram account at RHIT SASA for more updates on all of the SASA members.